Have you ever watched any cartoons that feature crossover episodes? Cartoon crossovers are thrilling and also highly anticipated. Who wouldn't want all of their favorite cartoon characters to show up in one episode? So what are some of the best cartoon crossovers ever? Today we're going to list some of the most amazing cartoon crossovers ranked, from Rick and Morty and The Simpsons to Jimmy Neutron and The Fairly OddParents and more. Let's go! Number 1. Rick and Morty with The Simpsons. Recently, Rick and Morty were seen on the screen with the iconic The Simpsons family. This special crossover gag was made when Adult Swim and Matt Groening decided to collaborate and bring their shows together. The episode was titled Mathlete's Feet, and their interaction time is around 2 minutes and 21 seconds. This makes it the longest couch gag to ever be screened with The Simpsons. If you're wondering what happens, the gag starts with Rick and Morty rushing into The Simpsons' residence through a space portal. As they're making a surprising entrance, the duo accidentally kills the whole Simpson family with their space cruiser. Rick then tells Morty to go to another dimension and get clones of the family. Morty agrees, and as soon as he leaves, Rick starts raiding the house and collecting the family's belongings. He also freezes Ned Flanders when he enters the house to see what's going on. When Morty returns with the replacement clones, they are all deformed versions of the Simpsons family, and they also have Rick's skin and hair, as well as his disgusting belching habits. Number 2. The Owl House and Gravity Falls. Dana Terrace's The Owl House has established a magical world for its characters to live and play in, and even though the show has prioritized telling its own story, it also recently featured a crossover with a fan-favorite Disney cartoon, Gravity Falls. You might not be aware of this, but one of the Owl House's most prominent fan theories has been that the character of Etta Clawthorne was once married to Stan Pines, who is the character Grunkle Stan from Gravity Falls. Gravity Falls ran for 2 whole seasons on Disney Channel, and this theory dates back to February of 2020. An Instagram user provided evidence to prove this theory, starting with an alternate in-character commentary track that the Gravity Falls creator Hirsch recorded as Grunkle Stan for the season 1 episode Land Before Swine. This was included in the Gravity Falls box set that was released in 2018. In this whole track, Stan recalls being married to a woman named Marilyn for less than a day when he was in Las Vegas. As it turns out, she only married Stan so she could steal his casino winnings, which was also apparently chased by cop cars for a mile out of Vegas. Number 3. Multiple Lilo and Stitch crossovers. Lilo and Stitch was quite possibly one of the most heartwarming shows to ever exist, but what made it special with their willingness to feature crossover episodes with other popular cartoon characters? This is why we had an episode where Lilo and Stitch meet Kim Possible, and another one where they met the American Dragon. In both the episodes, Lilo and Stitch are faced with some alien threat, and Kim and the American Dragon helped them out of it. Also, the whole fandom went absolutely crazy when they saw Lilo and Kim Possible working together. The characters seem to have a great time too. It seems like Kim Possible and Lilo do make an amazing team. Number 4. When Scooby-Doo met Batman and Robin. This was perhaps one of the most exciting cartoon crossovers to grace our TV screens. Scooby-Doo meeting Batman and Robin was the perfect balance between comedy and action. The Scooby Gang was working on chasing evil bad guys as usual, and they ended up collaborating with Batman and Robin to do it. Batman is now an official part of the Scooby-Doo Gang. Also, seeing Scooby-Doo buddy up with Batman has become one of the greatest 90s kids memories ever. They met again in another crossover episode that was titled Scooby-Doo and Guess Who? This time it was the Scooby-Doo gang against some of Gotham's most notorious criminals. That's right, the gang took up the task to take down both Penguin and the Joker, and obviously, Batman was with them the whole time. It's safe to say that Shaggy and Scooby were the real heroes here because they ended up capturing both Penguin and the Joker. Number 5. Jimmy Neutron and the Fairly OddParents. Back when Nickelodeon was the real deal, we got to see some great crossovers. One of the most notable ones was between Jimmy Neutron and the Fairly OddParents. That's right, our boy Timmy had some grand adventures in Jimmy Neutron's world, and as you might have expected, Timmy manages to fit right into Retroville. Some fans of the show even argued that Jimmy was better suited for Retroville. Maybe it's because he is too good for the disaster that is Dimsdale. That's also because he's the only smart guy there, but this isn't the only crossover that Hartman attempted. He had crossovers for all of his cartoons. This includes Danny Phantom meeting with Tuff, and Puppy meeting Fairly OddParents meeting Bunsen. The episode was an instant hit, and fans said that they wanted to see Timmy and Jimmy hang out again, because let's be honest, Timmy's friends and family aren't that great, and he does need some good people around him that give him attention. Also, Jimmy has a wonderful support system despite his apparent lack of brain cells. And let's not forget that Hugh Neutron is 1,000 times better than Timmy's dad could ever be. Number 6. Hercules and Aladdin. If you're a 90s kid, you probably remember how wonderful it was growing up with Disney afternoon cartoons like DuckTales, and you were also blessed with watching shows that depicted the stories of Hercules and Aladdin. But do you know some of these shows had superhero crossovers? That's right, Hercules and Aladdin did have a crossover moment in the 90s, and they also made a pretty great team. Both of them were kind, empathetic, and willing to risk their lives for absolute strangers, just like the perfect heroes. After this episode, people started demanding Disney to focus more on their princes and create more crossover episodes for them. Number 7. Max's embarrassing date in the House of Mouse. House of Mouse was a hotbed for all kinds of crossovers during their time, and they might have gotten characters from every Disney movie released during that time, but some fans feel that the show wasted a lot of opportunities for great crossovers. For example, every episode in the show could have been a character of the week, so characters could have popped up from the variety of classics the show had been blessed with, but all we got were some sad cameos. And just because he's Disney's official mascot and his most popular character does not mean we don't want to see an exciting episode centered on Cinderella, Snow White, or even Hades. This is why House of Villains is a lot better in comparison, especially because they're braver with their cameos. Max was arguably one of the most relatable characters on House of Mouse, and the episode featuring his awkward date was the cutest, especially because it included Roxanne's appearance. And just this one episode featuring Roxanne reminded all hardcore Disney fans why everyone adores her. People even demanded that Max and Roxanne should be given more screen time, but it seems like Disney wants us to focus on one main couple, Minnie and Mickey. Number 8. Scooby-Doo and Courage the Cowardly Dog. Scooby-Doo might be an overmilked franchise full of spin-offs and movie specials, but they featured some of the best crossovers to ever exist. For example, the Scooby-Doo and Courage crossover made fans go ballistic since they featured both the channel's favorite dogs. Also, Scooby meeting Courage was a crossover nobody could have ever imagined, and everyone was glad the makers decided to bring both dogs together on screen. One thing that unites both Scooby and Courage is their fear of monsters and also their determination to fight them. So it's safe to say they make a great pair of bad guy fighting dogs. Did you know that this crossover episode was also Theo White's final role as Muriel? That might be sad, but it also makes the crossover much more special than it already is, don't you think? Number 9. Grim Adventures, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and the Kids Next Door. Did you know that Ed, Edd n Eddy had a crossover episode with the Kids Next Door? Eddie mentioned the kids in one of their episodes and said, if you're looking for charity, call the Kids Next Door. They're cheap. The show fans loved that part, and some even say that was the best part of the entire special, and they're absolutely right. In their crossover with Billy and Mandy, the Kids Next Door was an absolute mess. Most of them fell for Mandy's disguise as number 1 immediately, who was the head of the entire organization, but we also saw some action-packed sequences where number 1 and Grim teamed up Gundam Wing style to save the rest of the kids from trouble. That whole episode is one of the best crossovers to ever exist. Which of these were your favorite crossover? Are there any other iconic crossover you'd like to add to the list? Let us know in the comments below. Like this video, and we'll see you next time.